Do we need a clap?
Yeah, I know. Oh, hold on, but I have to get to my GarageBand and then we can clap. Okay. All right. Did you already start recording? Okay. 3, 2, 1, start. All right. Hold on. Wait, stop. Have you started recording on your other?
Oh, wait. No, let me get this working. Okay. I'm ready to start.
Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1, press record. Okay. 3, 2, 1, clap.
Okay.
Did you clap?
I did. Did you see me clap?
No, because you're slow, a little slow.
That's the rudest thing you could have said to me.
I meant on the video you froze and then it was like, wait, where are you? Okay.
Yeah, it froze over here too, but we're good. You good?
Okay. Yeah, I'm good. Hi, welcome you guys to the Claudia and B podcast. Obviously, since
hello.
We live like on opposite ends of the country, so sometimes we have tech issues, but it's okay. We make it through. So what you might have heard, I mean, yeah, well, I guess I have to now, can't edit this out, is that we clap when we play on our GarageBand. or she's using Audacity. It's like an app to record. And so just so that we know when we're editing what to link our audios up at the same time. So that's probably what you heard is the clap, but it's okay.
Listen, guys, we're just doing what we need to make this good for you. So if you hear us clapping, just go with it. It's fine.
I know.
It's what the professionals do.
So, okay, by the time this airs, like Christmas is already passed, right?
Yeah.
So, hi, Merry Christmas, Merry late Christmas.
Happy New Year's, you guys.
Happy New Year. I hope, like, we're talking to ourselves in the future. Isn't that weird? Oh,
that is really sweet, actually.
I know.
Bethany, like, I hope you had the greatest New Year's kiss ever.
I know. Gosh. Oh, gosh.
I mean, I hope you have it too, Claudia.
I know. I had a New Year's.
I don't want it just for myself.
I had a New Year's kiss last year, but who
Me
knows?
Too.
Yeah.
So what? Didn't work out apparently for either of us.
No, whatever.
That's okay.
Exactly.
So, I mean, currently we are getting ready for Christmas, and I just have to say, like, I am freaked out by how fast December is moving because time really just doesn't have a meaning this year, and
no,
it seemed to take so long as soon as fall hit. Like, I thought we were going to just have the longest holiday season, and then December rolled around, and oh my gosh, it's already just like blowing through us.
I know. It's insane. It's crazy. Yeah. Crazy.
I still have a lot of shopping to do. What about you?
I do too. Yeah, I have pretty much, I know what I want to get everyone pretty much, but I just haven't bitten the bullet and gotten it done. So,
yeah,
Well,
at least you're organized. That's good. You seem like you would be organized. Is that not the case?
No, not really.
Me
see
neither.
My room. I'm not organized at all.
I make a list in my head of what I want to buy people, and then I go to the store to get it, and I end up getting all different stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that happens. Yeah, I need to just order crap online, like that's the way to go. So, really well, and the nice thing is, so I'm going to Texas for Christmas to stay with my mama and daddy. And, yeah, it'll be so fun. They're hilarious. So I'm going to just mail my stuff there, which is really nice.
That's really smart, actually.
Yeah. Cause then I don't have to log it in a suitcase. Like I'll buy some of the presents here, I'll buy some of the presents because at my various jobs I can get discounts, so I can bring those in my suitcase, but the others I just mail. Oh, so for those of you watching on YouTube, and we'll just describe it to you guys, let's show them our teacups.
Yes, because it is tea with Claudia and B after all.
It is, yes. I love your teacup is really pretty. I just want to explain mine. It's super cute. Like it's a bunny, there's the tail, and then the bunny is inside the cup.
I know, it's super cute. I love it. It makes me think of what's the author's name that writes Peter Cottontail?
Beatrix Potter.
Oh, Beatrix Potter.
Yes.
Love her.
I do too. That's a great movie with Ewan McGregor and
oh my gosh, that's the cutest movie ever.
Oh God, and Renee Zellweger, right? Yeah.
Did you know that she spoke in a British accent 100% of the time on that project? She never went out of that accent.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me because she did the same thing with Bridget Jones.
Oh, another great one.
Mm-hmm.
She should always
So
play
good.
a British chick. I love it.
I know. I love it too. She's so great. Yeah, she's funny. But oh gosh, I just completely forgot what I was going to say. How can that ever happen? I never forget.
That's very weird. You need more fish oil.
So weird. So weird that I would forget something. Oh my gosh. No. Ugh, so forgetful, which actually leads into something that we're talking about today, which is personalities.
Yeah. Personalities. Everyone has one. Some have a little too much of a personality. Mm-hmm. There's not enough, but we all have one.
Yes, and so B and I have taken several tests, and surprise, surprise, where our personalities are like super close. Shocker.
We are. I know. I was not expecting that.
Shocker. Because I was like telling her to take this one personality test. I was like, I already know what you are, like your main one, but then we'll just see what the others are too. Yeah. I was like, I think I already know.
You are right. Okay, so this one personality test that you just had me take, I have never heard of it before.
That's so interesting. Yeah. So I guess, okay, should we just kind of go into all of the different personality tests that we've taken and like what we're going to all talk about it laid out on the line?
Oh my gosh. I've done so many, and I love personality tests because
I do too.
I think in a way it like helps explain me to me.
Yes, for sure.
there were a lot of years in my life where I was like, why am I this way? You know?
I know.
And so I really appreciate taking personality tests and figuring things out.
Exactly. Yeah, me too.
Well, and also each other.
Oh, 100,000%. And it also just helps when you think of like their personality and like how you can cater to them. And, you know, it's just good to, it's just good to know, you know? So, yeah. I mean, I know I talk about my mom a lot on here, but like we're very similar, but very different. And so there are certain things that I'll do to her and she'll be like, please no, please no. Like if I'm talking on the phone to like a friend, you know, that she like knew, and one of my friends that she loves. And I'm like, oh, hey, like you should say hi to my mom. And my mom hates that. Like she cringes when like someone wants to like have like, you know, cause her mom used to do that. So my grandmother used to do that to her, and she couldn't handle it. Like, and she hated it. So, but that's so funny. Cause to me, it's like second nature. It's like, of course I want to talk to them, you know, like if someone does that to me, I'm like, of course, yes, hand me the phone.
Because you're the performer, so why wouldn't you be in front of people?
I know, like put it on speaker. Why is it on speaker? Oh, by the way,
they want to hear from me.
I know. Do you ever like put your phone on speaker and pretend that they're cameras and you're on a reality TV show?
Yes. I mean, I do that even when I'm not talking to friends. I will have an interview with myself in the car driving almost every single day.
I know. Well, I totally like sometimes put my phone on speaker and pretend that like I'm on a reality TV show. You know?
I will say though, I've often like I talk to myself a lot, and sometimes in public, somebody will catch me talking to myself and I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm on my phone. Pull it up like, and holding it on speaker there, and they're just talking to me, you know. So I've done that a lot.
Yeah,
but
that's great.
I've also done the fake interview, the fake reality TV star, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, and I always like imagine what the day will be like whenever I finally meet Justin Bieber. And
I hope I'm there when you do, because I think you and I would have different reactions. I think I would go like starstruck and just be like, I know, and just sit there, and I think you would just be like screaming and go crazy.
I probably would start crying, and I mean, pre-pandemic, I would touch him as much as I like want, but you know, but I totally, Justin Bieber, if you're listening, I totally will quarantine for you for 14 days so that we can touch. Okay, bye.
Justin Bieber, if you're listening, call me on my phone so that we can do an interview while I'm driving. Okay.
I know.
And then it'll be real this time.
I know. Justin Bieber, if you're listening, I just want to let you know that I talk to you whenever you're playing your music, and I talk back to you and tell you all sorts of fun things. So, okay, bye.
Should we do a Dear Justin Bieber segment with every
I think we
episode?
need to. I think.
I'm ready to get down. That's what we're doing.
Oh my gosh. that's hilarious. We should do, that'd be fun to do with a lot of different boys. You know? Ooh, here we go.
First boyfriend. Just kidding.
Well, also like fictional boys would be fun to do it with too.
That would be more fun, actually.
Wink, wink, wink.
Okay, so once upon a time, I spent the summer, well, 2 different summers. I went up to Alaska to work for the summer with Princess Cruise Line. And
fun.
It was so fun. I loved it so much. Alaska is amazing. I miss it so much. But the second year I went up, one of my friends gave me like a little bye-bye for the summer gift of a Justin Bieber poster.
Oh, shut up.
And I put it on my wall when I got there because I was like, oh, this is just funny. And like, I mean, I did love Justin Bieber and I loved the poster, but I also was like, I am going to have a random roommate up here. So it'll be kind of funny to like put the poster up and see their reaction.
Yeah.
Well, she ended up bringing this friend that she met home who was like a super hot guy. And he comes into my room and I was in the other, it was like a dorm style. So there were like 2 rooms on either side and then a bathroom connected them. Mm-hmm. And I was in the bathroom. So I wasn't like in the room when they first came in. And he was like, yeah, you were right. Like there is a Justin Bieber on your wall. Like they were like totally weirded out by it. And I'm all like, oh, they're not taking it as the joke I meant it as. Like they really
I know.
Like,
it was
weird.
It was a hard go for us Justin Bieber fans for a while.
Because everyone saw him as like a little baby, and then he was like a little cray and all that.
I remember I always defended him because it's like, look, I have friends that are guys that do just as much, if not more, stupid stuff that he did. Okay. The difference is that he had a ton of money and all this, he was acting out because as we know now from his song Lonely, he was lonely.
He was lonely. And you know what? Like, who was going to tell him no? You know, there wasn't like somebody there being like, dude, get it together. Well, maybe there was. I don't know his whole story.
His mom for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
I love his mom.
Okay.
So this guy that was judging me for the Justin Bieber thing, later in the season, he and I ended up dating. And he was like, I have to ask, what was with the Justin Bieber? And I was like, I don't see what the problem is. Like, why were you guys judging me so hard?
They just love to hate him. It's because they have some weird insecurity, so they hate on other people. It's awful.
That's true. But not us. Justin, we love you.
We love you, Justin.
Anyway.
Okay, so we need to have like an episode just about Justin, which we will. So, okay, so back to the personalities. Okay, so we took several different personalities tests. So I'd say that probably the most like hip or whatever in this day and age that we both actually had already taken this test was the Enneagram. So we took we've taken the Enneagram test, so we'll talk about that. Also Myers-Briggs, we've both taken that already. And then the 4 temperaments tests, which B had never heard of, which actually I grew up on. So the 4 temperaments tests, it's like 4 different temperaments, which are sanguine, choleric, phlegmatic, and melancholy. And so how I was introduced to this was my grandmother, she, would do events. So my grandmother, I get a lot of my personality from her because she was the homecoming queen in high school and college, like Miss Popular, you know, just
cute.
like, yeah, super cute. So anyway, she worked with a friend named Florence Latower, and they would go and do speaking events around the United States. And she would speak a lot, and it was just basically about personalities. So they always, and I remember like being so young and being like, and they would always talk about their different, who was this and who was that, you know, who was sanguine, who was phlegmatic, who was melancholy, and, you know, choleric. And I would be like, what am I? But I was too young to like, you know, for them to tell. But I mean, especially since I was like, tell me who I am. They should have known that I'm a total flamer sanguine, like, which we'll get into. So sanguine is like the outgoing, the like forgetful, the fun, I don't know, like life of the party, all of that. So, So anyway, so we did, like, my grandparents had a 50th wedding anniversary, like big party. And so Florence Latower spoke at it, and she basically like explained the 4 temperaments, and she used people like my siblings and my cousins for the different personalities. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So I can kind of like explain. So The 4 temperaments. Actually, I'm going to read Wikipedia.
Okay.
I have it on here. Let me see. All right. So the 4 temperaments are sanguine. Personality type is described primarily as being highly talkative, enthusiastic, active, and social. Sanguines tend to be more extroverted and enjoy being part of a crowd. They find that being social, outgoing, and charismatic is easy to accomplish. Individuals with this personality have a hard time doing nothing and engage in more risk-seeking behavior.
Weird, huh?
I know. Sounds so familiar. Okay, cool. So, and then now we have choleric. Individuals tend to be more extroverted. They are described as independent, decisive, goal-oriented, and ambitious. These, combined with their dominant, result-oriented outlook, make them natural leaders. And Greek, medieval, and Renaissance thought they were also violent, vengeful, and short-tempered. Oh my. Actually, okay.
I relate to that a little bit.
Yeah. I can see that for you, for sure. Okay. So then, and remind me to tell you about this really cute children's book that kind of explains the 4 temperaments too. Just remind me to talk about that when I'm done. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So then we have melancholy. Individuals tend to be analytical and detail-oriented. They are deep thinkers and feelers. They are introverted and try to avoid being singled out in a crowd. A melancholy personality tends to be self-reliant individuals who are thoughtful, reserved, and often anxious. They often strive for perfection within themselves and their surroundings, which leads to tidy and detail-oriented behavior. So not me, but I love melancholies because, I mean, goals.
Yeah, that's
sure.
Good.
I know. All right, so then we have phlegmatic. So phlegmatic individuals tend to be relaxed, peaceful, quiet, and easygoing. They are sympathetic and care about others, yet they tend to hide their emotions. Phlegmatic individuals are also good at generalizing ideas or problems to the world and making compromises. Cool. All right. Okay. Yeah, so those are the 4 temperaments. And actually, oh my gosh, I didn't even start the stopwatch.
Oh, I have it.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Just sent you at that time.
I know. So you guys, we do like a stopwatch to make sure we're not talking for like 3 hours, and I totally like forgot to.
You're doing good. Don't worry about it.
Okay. So, okay, let me pull up. So there is a really cute children's book. And it's like about a birthday party. Let me see I can't remember what it's called. I need to like figure this out by the end of the episode so I can talk about it. But basically, I think, so there's 4 different kinds of animals in the book. It's like so cute. And it's, so there's an otter, and the otter is the sanguine, and the otter is like throwing a birthday party. Super cute. And then there's a beaver who's the melancholy, who is like making sure everything in the birthday party is like organized and like, going, Yeah. And then there's a golden retriever, which is like, the kind and like easygoing, like, okay, like whatever you all need with the birthday party. And then there is the, oh gosh, what am I forgetting? Oh, and then the lion, which is the choleric, who is like in charge of the party and like everything. So like those animals fit those personalities so well.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. So
okay, so I think it's interesting to me because I feel like as I learn more about personality type programs, there's a lot of repeating themes in them, and I think that kind of just goes to show that it's like there's certain universal truths, much like how an eligible young man must be in want of a wife. But in this case, like the personalities and how human brains work is really similar. So this it's different, but it's reminding me of a different program that's called, oh crap, what is it called now? Well, it's based off of this book called Dressing Your Truth. And it's like, 4 personality types essentially that follow that same pattern. And the lady who wrote the book about it and developed it, she did it in a way to like incorporate your clothing so that you're portraying your personality to the world. But it's essentially structured the same way. So I think that's interesting that it's a totally different thing, but I see so many similarities in it.
And I just found the book. So the book is called The Treasure Tree. And let's see, Kids Will Love, For Animals. Yeah, so this description may be from, oh, hold on. I don't need to read that. Kids will love this creative and fun book, which 4 animals, an otter, beaver, golden retriever, and lion, teach personality traits and how to respect and appreciate each individual for who they are. So sweet.
That's cute.
I know. I don't know. I think my mom has this book, but I'm going to order it for myself. And I think I might like do it with my students and do like a little, I think that'd be cute, wouldn't it? Like
yeah,
for like a little theater. I'll make it like a little theater staging with like the little kindergartners.
Yeah.
So cute.
You'll be teaching them about personality traits before they even know it.
I know. So fun.
I love that.
Yeah. So okay, cool. So that one. So let's read our results on that one, which I mean it's pretty obvious what they are. But
yeah. So though I just took it and it turns out that I am 22 points sanguine, which is what you predicted. So
shocker. I know. I was like, I already know who you are.
I was like, really, do you? And then you did. And then the next one I have 12 points phlegmatic. Is that how you say it?
Phlegmatic, yeah.
That I've never heard before.
That's so interesting. So. I love it. Yeah.
I know. I'm really excited to learn more about this because I feel like I've heard at least about most of them. So this one's kind of fun. So 12 points on that one. And then 10 points on melancholic.
Yeah.
And then 8 points on melancholia.
Melancholy. I don't know why they have it there. Melancholic. I don't understand it. They spell it weird, you guys. I've always learned it was just melancholy.
Okay. So, I'll take that since I know what that word means. And then 8 points. How do you say the word again?
Choleric.
Choleric.
Yeah. You guys, I
want to say choleric.
Because that's what I used to call it, choleric. I was like, choleric, you're choleric? Yeah.
You have cholera? I'm sorry.
What a mess.
That's funny.
That's awesome. Okay, so for me, mine's not much different. And actually, we'll link this. If you guys want to take this, I will be sure to link it in the notes.
Yeah.
Below. That'd be good.
Yeah, and then let us know your results. I'm curious of what people get.
Exactly. Okay, so mine is 24 points sanguine and 10 points phlegmatic, 5 choleric, and then 2 melancholy. So
okay.
Yeah.
I'm more melancholy than you. Sorry.
You're a little bit more, I can see it though, like you have a little bit more of that choleric take. I'm more of I'm like laid back, and so I'm I don't know. I've never enjoyed like being in charge. I enjoy being kind of like the glitter on the bow.
Oh, that's a great way to describe that.
Yeah. So, but I don't mind being in charge of like, kids when we're, playing games and doing theater games and stuff like that's fun, or toddlers, or like, I don't mind being in charge of that. I don't really I'm not really vibing about being in charge with adults,
Okay, I feel you though. I certain settings I like to be in charge. It's usually creative settings. I like to have a little bit of a say or some influence over.
Yeah, me too.
But then there's some like more technical situations where I'd be like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. I want no responsibility here.
Exactly. I know. Exactly. For sure. No.
So I guess it just depends
on
the situation.
All.
I am a little bossy, but I think a lot of this, especially with myself, I feel like I'm always questioning what's nature versus nurture, because I feel like my true nature is really different than how I was nurtured, like how I was brought up. And I think that all plays into a lot of like family dynamic and different things like that. Like I was kind of set up to behave a certain way, or like asked to fill a role in my family that was pretty different than what my nature was. So it's funny looking back at like different stages in my life and having the memory of what really happened and how I acted, but then also having the memory of being like, I want to do this, but I know I'm expected to do this, so I'll do that instead. And I don't say that as like a little woe is me or blame it on my family and my parents or anything like that. It's just like how it was. There's a lot of things that I did as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult versus what I really wanted to do, but I didn't really feel like confident enough to do it, or like I was allowed to do that, you know?
Yeah,
so
100%. I understand what you mean, for sure.
So now as I've gotten older, it's been really fun to kind of just be like, I'm just going to do these things that I've always wanted to do because why not, you know? And then I just like feel so much more authentic and happy with the outcomes, you know?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I went through something similar of the school I went to actually in Spokane, like the teachers just, I mean, it was a really, really hard 3 years that I was there, and just being talked down to so much, and like being afraid to, a lot of people from the school just felt being afraid to speak up. Like, so with, I don't know, after my experience with that, I just questioned, like, I always assumed that I was wrong because at that school, the majority of the time I was wrong, you know? So I always just assumed that I was wrong. But now like getting older, I'm not afraid to like say that I'm wrong. And like, but I think that always thinking that I was wrong has helped me now not being afraid to be wrong, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's so good.
You know what I mean?
That's like a very positive way to take that experience, actually.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
nice.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I think that helps in that way, but yeah.
Oh, totally. I like that.
Should I read like that description of sanguine real quick?
Yeah. I kind of was reading through it a little bit, but you go ahead.
Yeah. Well, actually, I probably don't need to because I already read the Wikipedia one, so now we're good. I was like, I don't need to repeat it, but
I'm so curious to see what everyone gets. That'll be fun.
I know. It'll be fun. All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
So, can we talk about Myers-Briggs next?
Yeah. Okay. I knew you were going to do that one.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So for the longest time, I did not like Myers-Briggs, and I still kind of don't. I love it for my type, but people tell me what their personality type is, and I'm just like, cool, letters in the alphabet. Like, I don't know what they mean to other people.
I don't either. It's like I have to sit down and like look at it, and like that's a lot of work.
Yeah. So if somebody will tell me what they are, then I'll like look it up on Pinterest and get a very like broad idea and then be like, okay, cool. And then I always like, I'm such a sucker. Anytime I have a crush on a guy or I'm dating somebody, I always want to look up their personality type with mine to be like, how do we get along? You know?
Same.
So it goes.
Same.
And you know what's funny? My last relationship I was in, we were really similar. We only had one letter off from each other.
Oh, wow.
And he read something somewhere that was like, oh, that's like one of the hardest combinations of personality because you're so similar, but you're off a little bit. And I think that really bothered him. And like when he told me about it, I was kind of like, oh, well, that's funny. I wouldn't have guessed that. And I read a couple of things about it and I was like, oh yeah, it's because our decision making is totally opposite. Everything else we're on the same, but how we make decisions will be opposite. So like, we'll have to work through that, you know? But secretly, I think that he like never got over that. He like really did not like that we had a challenge there. So,
oh boy,
take it with a grain of salt.
Men sometimes don't like to do the work. So, but I mean,
that's true.
Women sometimes don't like to do the work either. So I don't know what I'm
so true.
Like,
basically, we're the same.
Yeah.
But we both have the same personality types with Myers-Briggs, which I was like,
yes.
So it was so funny to me. You had sent us something to our shared Pinterest board being like, oh, I just like posted that there. And I was like, oh, I got this person because it's Jane Austen characters in Myers-Briggs personality. So I looked it up and I was like, oh, I'm Marianne Dashwood. And you're like, I'm Marianne Dashwood. And I was like, you're ENFP?
Yes!
We're both the same.
We are. Oh my gosh, I know.
And it makes so much sense.
It does. And that makes me so happy because I love Marianne. And so I just very connected to Marianne. Very connected. Because
great.
Yeah. So I remember talking to my mom about Marianne and how, you know, I was like, she has obviously like a little bit of melancholy in her. And I was talking to her about that. And my mom was like, well, you have to remember that when a sanguine is down, it's pretty dramatic. And I was thinking about it, and she looks at me, she goes, as you know. And I was like, Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, Mom, I do know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about 2015 to 2017, I was the lowest of the low. So dramatic. I had like so many fits of like just sheer panic and like crying and like just like, yeah.
That is
awful.
really true. And I think it's hard for people to get that from us because we're often high and we're often like, not like, high, but like we're on a high. Like it's really easy for us to have a positive, uplifting outlook on life and to connect with people. But then like as high as that positive is, you do swing the other way in a negative. And I know from my experience, my family members, some of my closest friends, like people that really know me, when they've seen me actually upset, it's like very off-putting to them.
Yeah,
because it's so opposite from my typical temperament,
Well, and I didn't realize it, but apparently, I guess, whenever I get upset, it's like people sometimes don't even know that I'm upset. You know what I mean? Because like,
oh yeah, that pisses me off. I'm like, how do you not know? I'm sitting here like a little rain cloud. But they don't. It makes me so mad.
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, my sister, she was telling me, she's like, yeah, because sometimes like I can't tell, like you just got in a car wreck and you're like, oh, it'll be fine, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because I don't know,
we want to brush it off.
Yeah, exactly. And I tend to, you can either, when you're in a crazy situation or like a uncomfortable situation, you can either fight, flight, or freeze. I always freeze up. I just freeze up.
Oh, girl, me too. And I think that's the worst response. I'm like, I will become the wall and this will just pass over me.
I know. I just don't do anything. I just freeze.
Yeah.
Like completely frozen. Yeah. It's terrifying.
I had a whole therapy session with my therapist one time, just being like, why can't I do anything in those moments? Like, why? And then later I'll be like, okay, I had a problem with this and I had a problem with that. And I'll like get my voice. And then people have a hard time because they're like, well, why didn't you say anything then? And I'm like, because I couldn't.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, in some ways, though, it is a good thing, I think, because when you're frozen, at least you're not, because I feel like if we were fighting, then we would like ruin things that didn't need to be ruined. But at least when you're frozen, the time is taken. Because that's my therapist and I, we've worked on basically taking time when I'm upset and not acting on my emotions right away. So if I'm upset, so say somebody like says something really mean to me, okay, I take my time to respond, and I take like, a good like 24 hours to like mull over the situation, look at the facts, which is hard for me, and not be so based on feeling, which is what Marianne is like. I mean, she is pure feeling, but then Colonel Brandon is so perfect for her because like if you look at the facts, like Colonel Brandon is so much better for her than Willoughby. So yeah,
that's a Sense and Sensibility reference for those
I know
following along. Okay, but here's my thing with that too. I do feel like ENFPs, because we are highly emotional, people sometimes think that that's all that's going on. And from my experience, and I wonder if it's the same for you, I sometimes get frustrated with that because people will be like, you're just being really emotional. I'm like, yes, because I feel deeply about this, but that doesn't mean that there's a lack of like being analytical and being logical as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and also
I will feel deeply, but I will still analyze it out.
Well, and I think that God gave us those ENFPs, like the strong feelings, for a reason. And so I think that's a lot of times it's to protect us too from, how with your gut instinct a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Because I look back at some mistakes I've made, and I'm like, gosh, I had that gut feeling, and I knew I had like that feeling that it was not going to work out. I was just writing it out just to please other people,
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
I've had that so many times, and it's really hard because I have a hard time making a decision when I can't back it up with facts or logic. But you're right. Like that gut feeling is never wrong.
No.
No. So on top of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, because I don't know enough about Myers-Briggs. I don't know the answer to this, but there's like two versions. Like you can be an ENFP-A or you can be an ENFP-T. And I don't know the difference, but I'm an A. So
I'm
someday
a
I'll figure that out.
I'm a T.
Oh,
so we
interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. I'm like the campaigner or whatever. I'm on my email right now looking it up. Let's see. I don't know what the
Which
T
I do
means.
like that we're called the campaigner. For some reason, I just really like resonate with that. It's nice. Okay, and then
we can save the world with just an idea, B. Well, look, we had this idea. I guess we're saving the world.
I have so many ideas. This is good. One of them will save the world.
Oh my God.
Okay. But there's this, I don't know if you've read any books about ENFPs.
No.
You haven't?
No, I
have. Why would you? Okay, I want to send you this book because it's called The Comprehensive ENFP Survival Guide.
Okay.
And it's by, who's it by? It's by Heidi Preby, I think is how you say her name, Preby. It is so good. Claudia, it's so good.
Okay, no, send it to me. I need to read it. I will.
Yeah, it's amazing. It just really, it goes into like a lot of detail. And it's really funny because she's an ENFP. And so she's writing this book for us. And at one point she's like, okay, we're going to go in and talk about like how your brain works and break down how Myers-Briggs works and how it's like found, like what it targets in our brains. She's like, it's going to be really boring and you're probably going to want to skip it, but I highly recommend you read it. And I was like, dang it. Okay, fine. But there's just so many moments where I felt so empowered reading this book because it just made so much sense.
Okay.
And had so many like validating moments, which is something that we need. The ENFPs do need a lot of validation. And it was just beautiful. And there's this one part, one of my really good friends is also an ENFP. And I read this quote and I instantly messaged her and I was like, oh my gosh, I found like, it felt like the most perfect quote for me. And then it also felt like the most perfect quote for her. And we're like really different people. And so I was like, it's so funny that this is like so great. But she was talking about like, how intense ENFPs are, but also how we kind of like change direction. And to outside observers, it seems like we're wishy-washy or kind of like clueless, and it's not, that's not the experience we're having.
I mean, I had an ex-boyfriend tell me that like he was so mad at me and he was like, well, maybe the people that told me that you were fake are right.
Oh, no, they were not. What a jerk.
I just laugh about it now because, but it's true. I get that a lot. I get that, you know, oh, I thought you were fake because you're really pretty. And so, and I'm like, okay, but thank you. But
I think I was such a brat when they first meet me.
Oh, really? Yeah. They think I'm like just this like fake, like, oh my God, like giggly girl, which I mean, I am giggly, but doesn't mean that I'm not with that. Fake. I don't know.
No.
It's just...
And I get that a lot with like making jokes. Like sometimes I'll do like the dumb jokes where I'm like, oh my gosh, like why is it like this? When it's so obvious, you know, and people will be like, well, because, and they'll start explaining it. And I'm like, I know, I was making a joke or, you know, like, oh,
I don't know.
They feel the need to explain. And I'm like, okay. I'm not that dumb, you guys. Okay. But
yeah, that's so,
this quote, and then we can move on.
Okay. Sorry.
No, it's good. You'll like it. Okay. So she's talking about how like you're wishy-washy, but you're also like really, you need variety, but you are passionate about what you're doing. And she said, ENFPs, they don't want to go wherever the wind blows them. They want to embody the storm, and they'll take down whatever stands in their way.
Ooh, that's so dramatic.
I
love
so
that.
Much.
I already have like a picture of me standing.
I know, isn't it?
With like my wind blowing and like the, you know, the sea, the ocean is like
probably on background. A cliff. I'm at the sea too. Yeah. And like the dark purple clouds.
And we're probably at Prince Edward Island because duh.
Yeah. And I'm wearing a long dress that can like blow in the wind.
Oh yes, exactly. Yeah. And then there's, you know, like Ross Poldark at the bottom of the cliff, like just being
my
like,
God.
Hey,
he can be at the bottom of my cliff anytime, you know what I'm saying?
I know, and I'll run down it real quick.
Oh, he's so gorgeous. We should interview him too.
Oh gosh, that would be
ovaries.
Oh God, I don't know how I could handle that. He has got like not a ounce of fat on that bod. It's all muscle.
all muscle and angst. I like it.
I like it too. And I love that Poldark doesn't give any F's about anything.
I know. Isn't that attractive?
So cool. I love it. I love that in a man. I love it.
Aiden Turner is so hot.
He really is. He is. Yeah.
Approved.
So yeah. What was I gonna say about? I had something important to say, and now I can't remember.
Well, it's probably because you're an ENFP, and that's just what you deal with in life.
Oh! I remember. Okay.
Hey, what is?
I'm gonna put. We have to in our Instagram posts, when this episode is dropped, we need to post the Jane Austen thing, and then people can be like, I'm Eleanor Dashwood, and I'm Elizabeth Bennet, and I'm blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm, yeah, totally.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun.
Well, and I think reading about ENFPs also helped me because I realized how much of how intuitive we are to other people and how we do need to get approval from other people. And so it made sense in my life, a lot of things that I had kind of held a lot of self-judgment for, being like, why did I do that? Why did I act that way? Why didn't I stand up for myself? All those different times where I was like, oh, that makes sense. It is actually part of my function. And I don't have to judge myself for it. I can just know that that's what I do and then know to move on and not let that control me anymore,
That's interesting you say that because we're performers. So getting approval from other people, it's like a constant. I mean,
we have to have it.
But also it's good for us though to, not fear rejection. I don't at all, I mean, it depends, obviously, a different situation, it just depends on the situation. But for auditions, I just view auditions as a social time. I'm like, see, I get to see all my friends, or I make new friends in line,
Yeah. Well,
it's great, I love it.
Yeah. It's so fun to do that.
There's two girls that I'm still friends with to this day from going to 1,000 Disney auditions, and it's so fun. Yeah, exactly. And we didn't know each other before. We just started chatting because we were next to each other. It was great.
I love friendships like that just happen and you're like, actually, we're great friends. Exactly. Well, and I think what being brought up again in that book was it's okay to be it's okay that you're totally different, and I just loved that because I think the moments where I have a inclination to do something and then I'm like, oh, don't do that. That's going to be weird, and then when I do go with it and I say something or I do something and everyone kind of gives me that look that was weird. Now I'm just yeah, I'm weird. It's okay. Whereas before that was oh no, they think I'm weird. I can't do that anymore.
I know. And I don't care at all anymore about that. But I think that just comes with age too.
I do too. I significantly shifted in that after my mid-20s. Then I was I'm tired. I'm going to do what I want.
Exactly. 1000%. So should we move on to Enneagram?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because that is actually something that we vary on, which is interesting.
Yes. Yeah, it is. But you know what's funny in that book that apparently I'm going to reference 1,000 times? They say specifically ENFPs tend to be a type 2, a type 4, or a type 7.
Well,
and we fall into that.
That leads perfectly into our next segment. What would you ever, how would that ever, happen?
Like we planned it or something.
I know. Oh my God. What do you know? Okay, so for those of you that are not familiar with the Enneagram, what it is it's it's basically a number system. Where you can take a test and then they give you a number. So we both take the same test, which is the RHETI results test. And basically they give you a list of the different numbers. And so there's type 1 through 9. Yeah. So type 1 is the reformer, type 2 is the helper, type 3 is the achiever, type 4 is the individualist, type 5 is the investigator, type 6 is the loyalist, type 7 is the enthusiast, type 8 is the challenger, type 9 is the peacemaker. So you take the quiz and then basically you get a point system on how much you are of the different numbers. So my top number is, drum roll, is 7.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite number in the world. Always has been, always will be. So I was like, ah, when I got
Very
a 7.
symbolic number.
I know my therapist thought I was being a 9 and for forever. And then she was like, oh, you're a 7. And I was like, yeah, probably because I was just talking to her about like sad things.
Yeah. Like I thought for sure.
I know.
Were.
Exactly. But I'm
That's
super
funny.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, actually, I won't say the next thing I was going to say until you say yours.
Oh, okay.
You'll see.
I'm a type 2.
Okay, so we have the enthusiast and the helper.
Yes.
So my score for the enthusiast is a 26, but then my next one is the help is number 2, and I'm a 23. So I'm like super close to a 2.
Oh, that's funny. Mm-hmm. I'm really close to a 4.
Oh, actually. Wow.
Yeah. Which sometimes I feel like I should be a 4, but then I'm like, I'm not as emotional as 4s probably are, but I vibe with 4s. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my next one is a 4 is 18.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Where's 7 on yours?
I think 7 is like my 3rd or my 4th.
Okay. Yeah. But the Enneagram is really interesting, and it's honestly like sometimes it's hard for me to like keep up with it. Like I'm trying because there's so many like the wings are confusing and like I don't know.
They are. Well, okay, so the wings, so at work, we did an Enneagram segment where we all like everyone in my department took the test, and then we went to this little conference where they explained it all, and then we did a book club of it afterwards because we just wanted to know everything. So we ended up reading this book that's called The Honest Enneagram by Sarah Jane Case, and it's really good because it's quite simple how she formats it, but then it does go into depth with each type, and then she kind of explains the wings. So you have a wing that you go to. There's basically another number. So they have the numbers 1 through 9 laid out in a circle, kind of like a clock face a little bit. And then your number is connected to 2 different numbers through a line. And one of your connections to that number will be when you're under stress. So when you're under stress, you'll behave more like one of the other number personalities to kind of get through that stressful situation. And when you're really healthy, like when you're not under stress, when everything's going well and you're just like vibing with life and doing well, that you'll be connected to that other number that way. So as a 2, I'm connected to an 8 when in stress. So, and that's an executive, or I can't remember the name exactly, something like that.
Yeah, let me find it. But that's interesting because that matches your choleric personality. The challenger. Yes.
Challenger. So when I'm under stress, I will want to kind of like take control and be like, let's get some stuff done. I'll be bossy and things like that because I'm like trying to work through the stress or the feeling of insecurity.
Yeah.
And then when I'm really healthy and really happy and balanced, then I'm going to be connected to a 4, which is like a super like creative type personality, which totally makes sense because the times in my life when I was like really healthy and balanced, I just had so much like emotion and connection to art and creation and just stuff like that. Like I was such a weird little hippie artist. Just worked with it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh, I love that. So I'm looking at mine right now. So it looks like I am in growth, I'm a 5, which is the investigator. And then in stress, I'm a 1, which is the reformer, which I mean, I guess makes sense because I was under a lot of stress, again, during the years 2015 to 17. And I was very like, I'm usually one of those, I used to be, so it's kind of like when I was younger, I was on like one end of like always being late, always like behind on it, like, you know, like always like, like, you know, very unorganized, blah, blah, blah. But when I was under stress during those years, I was exactly the opposite, like super on top of it, super just, you know, rigid in that. And then, but now it's kind of more of a happy medium, you know? Yeah.
So you went from one extreme to the other, and now you kind of balanced out.
I kind of balanced it out. Yeah. Nice. And then I guess I haven't read much about fives, but if it's the investigator, hello, I love solving a crime. So
okay. Good. Throw all the crimes at her, people. Well, I mean, that makes sense to me with getting this project of the podcast going, because you've been like so good at looking up certain things, or like sometimes we'll be talking about how do we do something, and I'm like, I don't know, I can look it up, and then you're like, oh, I already figured it out, and I'm like,
no, yeah.
You're like, you're getting it, girl. That makes sense.
Well, it helps to have friends that do this too. So
yeah. It's more motivation when there's somebody working on it with you.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. And so it's very helpful to have that, for sure. Yeah, I need to read more about fives, I guess, because that, is it's exciting. But
yeah, that is a good backup to have. I think that's nice.
Yeah. It's my dream to knock on a door, FBI, where's the body? Like, so cool.
Oh, that's a cool dream. I like that.
Well, see, that's the thing. But the other thing is I honestly thought about being a detective, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. But the thing is I don't like science or math.
That could be a problem.
So
yeah.
I just I just don't know if I could do that. I think I wouldn't. And I also don't know how I would be able to handle seeing a dead body. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know until I was on the scene. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I feel you on that. I feel like either I'd be like, okay, cool, I'm fine, I'm heartless, I'm fine, or I would fall into a puddle right then and there.
Yeah, well, I do think obviously detectives, because I've listened to a lot of experts, investigators and stuff, and they do say that they have to take their vacations, their breaks there, because it's so heavy and dark.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I feel like in a way I might, when I do see them, I think that my mind would be on trying to get the person that died justice. So I would be trying to figure it out. So I think that I would be able to look past that right away. But then again, who knows? I don't know if that might not happen. And then I also don't know if the ramifications of seeing the body would be so devastating that I would just end up in a deep, depression.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Later, I don't know what the snowball effect would be. So anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I guess I could be a detective, but maybe I'll just, I'll just be cast as a detective. There we go.
Oh yeah, perfect. Best both worlds. I can handle that too.
That'd be fun. What if we were cast as detectives together?
Lady detective team? Okay.
Oh my God, that'd be fun.
I'm down.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay. So I've listened to a lot of Enneagram podcasts. The only thing with Enneagram podcasts is when I enjoy listening to them talk about it and interview different personality types, but I have a hard time following the conversation sometimes, because they're oh yeah, and this person is this, and so when we're talking we're this, but then this person is this, and then when we're talking we're this, and I go, wait a second, I can't remember, because they just say
shift.
Yeah, they just say, oh,
the person they're interviewing.
My son is an 8, and so whenever I'm and I'm a 5, and so how that goes. And it's oh wait, but I can't remember how. You know what I'm saying? So it's some of them are hard to follow.
It's true, because there's so many different. Well, especially I think that's why I do appreciate the simplified personality traits that just have the 4 different types, because when you get into Myers-Briggs, what do they have 16 different types, and Enneagrams have 9, and it is hard to keep them all straight in my head, where they'll switch over and I'll be like, I don't know what we're talking about. Who are we dealing with right now?
1000%. And that's why I love the Jane Austen chart that they have, because it's easy for me, a Jane Austen freak, to know, oh, he is such a Colonel Brandon,
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I want to read this little part from this book that I'm like a little bookworm tonight. Sorry. But with the personality types, so as she went into the Enneagrams, each section she had a part, I don't know, each section she talked about what we learned as a child that created our personality type, and it was really interesting, because every section, these are really different personality types we're talking about, between type 1 to type 9. but every single one of them, she's like, as a child, you learned this. And so that shaped you into that Enneagram type, which I do think is very like linked to psychology and all these different things. I think it's very accurate that as a kid, we have experiences that really shape us for the rest of our life.
Oh, 1000%. Yeah. I mean,
some of them are good, some not.
No, that's my filler word tonight is 1000%. I did say that a lot. I don't know.
Listen, you're all in. So 1000 it is. I like it.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Cause I mean, I have a friend and who I love dearly, who she is so knowledgeable about the different, the infant trauma and, you know, childhood trauma and like all of that, and not just trauma, but it just things that really do shape you as a person.
Yeah,
for sure. Crazy.
Yeah, it really is, especially when you're able to pinpoint those things in your own life and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that this one seemingly insignificant experience really has affected the rest of my life, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's good to be able to be self-aware enough to recognize those things. So for a type 2, which is my type, she says, they learn somewhere along the way that love is earned through what we do for other people. They tend to see the world as a sea of emotional temperatures, picking up the energy that people are sharing and then adjusting their own behavior to meet the needs they perceive in the room.
Oh,
so I was like,
I do that too, for sure.
Yeah. So that made a lot of sense to me, being like, oh yeah, which is an ENFP trait as well. And so I was like, okay, that like, there's the link there. But then it like kind of hurt a little bit, but it made sense of being like, oh, so I feel like I do have to earn people's love. Like it's not just like given, because even with like family members and parents, like that's, you know, that's just there. But I feel like I have to like earn it from them a little bit. And so sometimes I have to really stop myself in behavior, being like, do you not act this way? You're not like earning somebody's affection, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, so deep. Okay. So, it says 7s. She goes, type 7s are cheerful, fun-loving, and adventurous. In childhood, type 7s often lost faith in the potential for them to find adequate nurturing. Through this process, they learn to nurture themselves through staying entertained and choosing positive emotions. While that is a nice side to being able to care for yourself, it is often what creates a cycle of excessive indulgence for these types.
Oh, yeah.
Do you agree?
Totally say that. Oh yeah, I was about to say we need to talk about attachment styles too, because those are really interesting.
I love attachment styles.
Yeah,
it is so good.
Yeah, because with my therapist, because I remember talking to her about certain things, and I'm like, why do I act this way? What is this? What is this? And she goes, well, what you're describing is anxious attachment, and I have anxious attachment. Through therapy and through work, I've been able to definitely like rate it in. But so with anxious attachment, basically what happens is you, as a kid, you are getting a lot of attention and love. And then for whatever reason, something changes, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that love isn't as consistent as it was, because it was so heavy in the beginning, and then the love isn't consistent as it was. So like, for example, it could be that you're I know for me, my mom, she went and got her doctorate, so she was so busy. I mean, and so it just was a change, which is, you know, it's not bad. It's just something that happened. And then my dad, who went to Saudi Arabia for the Air Force, so he was gone for, 6 months. He went 4 times and was gone 6 months every time. So, I developed this anxious attachment of like, anxiously wanting them to love me, because they so it's interesting. That's why a lot of times with people, I always am like, hey, are you mad at me? Like, it's just, let me know.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll be like, are you mad? I'm like, are you mad at me? And then they laugh, and I'm like, I just always ask as a precaution, because I do. I'm like, are you mad at me?
You stopped talking, so I was pretty sure you were ticked off at me. Like,
I know, right? Yeah. So, but it's just like the constant need to be like, no, I still love you just as much. I still love you just as much. That type of thing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm anxious attachment too, so I totally get you.
That is so funny.
Yay, anxious.
So what happened in your like childhood that you think triggered that?
So I think my childhood is just very like I don't know. I think everyone's childhood is weird, but my experience was I was the first girl of 4 boys. And
Okay.
I think my dad had this funny experience growing up that he was like the only boy with a bunch of sisters for a long time. And he always felt really out of place. And he kind of grew up feeling resentment towards his parents of being like, why didn't you make a better environment or like a better space for your son? It was always catered to the girls. And I always felt like I was the weird one because I was a boy, not a girl, you know?
Oh.
And he really wanted to have like a boy friendly house, to the point where it kind of went in the opposite direction, and I was like misplaced because I was the girl, and there was a lot of focus on developing and really encouraging these boys, you know.
That's
and
interesting.
I like always joke about how growing up with these boys, they would be like, they were all roughhousing and acting like little boys do, and then I was like this little tiny baby princess, and they would be like, Mom, I don't know why she's crying, we just told her she was ugly, like I don't know why she's so upset. Mom, I don't know why she's crying, we just like kicked her and then she started screaming, you know, like, because they would treat me like a boy and I wasn't, and I would be like, why are you being so mean to me?
Aww,
You know, like, it was just a totally different experience. So for them, they were roughhousing. For me, I was getting bullied, you know, like it was just a really different experience. And then my sister is 5 years younger than me, and by the time she came around, my brothers were old enough to be like, oh, it's a little baby sister. And so she was just like this little cute princess, and I was excited to have her, and so that was great. But it was like this funny experience as a kid because I loved her to death and loved being like this little mama to her. But then I was also like, but why are the brothers nice to her and then they like make fun of me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's really weird.
Well, and I'm sure that you experienced a lot of love because you were the first girl, so it was like celebration for that. And then when that started to happen, that's really interesting. Yeah.
So and from that, it's also kind of been a lot of experience, or a lot of learned behavior on my side of like trying to blend in or trying not to make anyone upset, because if I did the weird things, my brothers would tease me, and I was just like too sensitive to be able to handle teasing for when I was younger, you know? So there was like a lot of needs I had in my personality type and in my emotions that just weren't really recognized or understood growing up. And so I always kind of was like having to balance out myself and like make everyone happy, you know? And a lot of that wasn't like given to me on purpose. It was just kind of the situation I walked into and the situation I interpreted as a little kid and as a teenager. And obviously I didn't have all the facts, but I did the best I could at the moment. And so I just had a lot of those things that I dealt with, you know?
Yeah. And also for me, it was the moving a lot was hard, very hard.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
You know,
yeah, my family moved a lot between my age of 8 until about 12, and like,
those are such hard. Like prime years. Yeah, that's hard. I know it was tough. That's probably why we have anxious attachment too, because moving is so tough, because you get like these friendships and like, you know, your best friends, and then you just have to be ripped away from it. So that's another example of like, you know, being ripped away. Like, yeah.
I mean, if that doesn't cause anxiety,
I know. I know, because then again, it's like you know that your friend loves you. You know that your friend like still wants to be your friend, but you're not there anymore. So it's just kind of.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's gone.
Yeah. What a Debbie Downer.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, so we are reaching our point since I have the stopwatch.
Jeez Louise, that is so crazy. I feel like we just started talking like 2 minutes ago.
I know. It was fun. So for our listeners, I want to hear like what types you are, or if you had known these personality types before. So please like and subscribe to our podcast.
Yeah, and I'll put all the information in the notes below, so you guys can like figure it out and have fun. And it's
we'll link all of the personality tests there.
Yes, and everyone should get that kids book. Super cute. Treasure something. Treasure.
I want to look it up and get it.
Let me see. Treasure. What was it? The Treasure Tree. That's what it was. Yeah. Super sweet.
Okay.
Yeah. So follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And we also have a YouTube channel. All of it is Tea with Claudia and B.
Yes.
And yeah.
And we also have a Gmail that you can send us an email at if there is any suggestion of things that you want us to talk about or cover on an upcoming episode. Send us an email there, and we will do our best to incorporate that and get everything taken care of.
I know. And you can give us a review on our podcast if you would like to be so
yes,
nice.
Please do.
Yeah.
Oh, our Gmail. Did I say our Gmail? Or did I just say email us and don't?
I don't remember. But everything is T with Claudia and B, just to make it easy, at gmail.com. So, yeah.
Yeah. We made it easy for you guys. You can remember that. It's just fun.
Exactly. Cool. Well, how cool that we finished episode 4?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're almost at a whole handful there.
I know. And you guys, we haven't even at this point that we're recording, we haven't even dropped our first one yet. So that's good. We're doing great at this thing. So
we are so ahead of the game.
I know.
So impressed.
Wow.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much for listening. And tune in next week for our next podcast.
Okay. Friday at noon.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Let me stop the all right, I stopped the whatever you call it, and then let me stop recording.